Hey everyone, welcome back to our SFI Biweekly Briefing on Tuesdays at 2. I'm Sarah Strader, SFI's Executive Director, and I am joined by a special guest, Erin. Erin, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Erin Anhold. I've been volunteering with SFI since the very beginning, and my husband is a retired naval from the Navy. So yeah, I've been here since the beginning.
Since before the beginning, folks. She's being modest.
Yeah.
Erin is an MVP SFI volunteer, and we're so glad to have you help us with our briefing today.
Thanks for having me today.
Yeah. Today's theme is everything voting. So we are going to start by talking about, number one, the latest report about military voter turnout in 2020. Then we're going to talk about the voting activity that's happening on Capitol Hill. And then we're going to talk about the voting activity that might be happening on Capitol Hill, but not quite yet. And we're trying to change that. So with that, Erin, do you want to get us started with our first item?
Sure. Well, last month, the Federal Voting Assistance Program released its data about military voter participation in last year's federal election. And there's some not great news among military voters. Voter participation among the military voters was 27 percentage points lower than voter participation among civilian voters of similar characteristics and demographics. And I know a lot of us were really excited by the news last year that the federal election had such huge historic turnout, and that really is great news. But it's really sobering to learn that turnout was not even across all communities, including our own.
Yeah, we were really disappointed to see this kind of headline coming from the Federal Voting Assistance Program, who conducted this report. We talked a little bit with their team, and we're going to get a little more detail as time goes on and they get more into the data. But for now, I think it's just a sobering headline for us to keep in mind that we have our work cut out for us. And next year is another election year, and we're hoping to start reversing this trend and see if we can't boost military voter turnout to maybe be comparable with civilian voters. Maybe we should make it a competition, Erin. What do you think? Do you think that'll work?
I think that's a great idea. You know I love competition, so.
All right, food for thought. Second item for today's briefing. As you all know, we have been tracking the National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, really all year. Quick reminder, this is the big annual bill that governs a lot of military-related funding and policies. So the latest update is that this bill, we're still waiting for the Senate to pass it because the House already did that. Because then after the Senate passes it, it goes into conference, it goes to the president's desk, boom, we have a bill. And the last that we've heard is that senators should be voting on amendments and then final bill passage this week. It's finally here, folks. We've been waiting and the finish line is in sight.
So when the NDAA was being considered first in the House, the priority amendments that we were tracking had to do with Afghanistan and National Guard policies. And in the Senate, the amendments we're most closely aware of have to do with other issues like voting assistance offers, achieving gender equality for uniform standards. So the conference process will be, the conference process will be really interesting to see what components do actually get signed into the federal law.
And we will make sure to update members on what the final components are and what we're tracking, because as anyone who's been around the NDAA before knows, the conference process, remember that terminology report from a past briefing, that's where a lot of issues can mysteriously disappear. And we need to stay vigilant to make sure that our priority items do not fall victim to that.
So our last update today concerns a Senate vote that hasn't been scheduled yet, but we're hoping it does get scheduled soon. As many of you have seen last week for Veterans Day, SFI has combined forces with two veterans groups to write an article in Stars and Stripes that urged the Senate to repeal the Iraq War Authorization. If you aren't really familiar about that, that is the same authorization that was used nearly 20 years ago to go into Iraq and use military action there. We talked a lot about this issue this year and how important this bill is to military families. And the Senate is running out of time to get the bill over the finish line.
So the so-so news is that it hasn't been scheduled for a vote yet, but the good news is Senator Schumer did write a letter on Sunday saying that he intends to schedule this vote as part of the NDAA process this week. So I just want to say, I consider this a win, folks. I know it's not scheduled yet, and we're going to stay real vigilant to make sure it does, but it's huge kudos to the power that op-eds can have, but also to all of the members and viewers that are watching today. To those of you who responded to our call to action alert last week to send Senator Schumer emails and support this move, this is really a testament to the power that that kind of advocacy can have. So let's keep pushing, but also take a moment to kind of reflect on the progress that's been made so far and how freaking close we are to making this bill finally law. So those are our big headlines. Like I said, lots of things voting. And so we thought it would seem fitting that for today's call to action, that it would also regard voting. So today we want to help encourage folks to sign up for our voting focus group. As everyone knows, there is a lot of mis and disinformation out there when it comes to elections and voting, and our military community is not immune to that kind of stuff. So we want to get together a group of folks from the military family community to share examples of mis and disinformation that they've come across, and then together brainstorm ways that we can all help combat this, especially as we head into another election year where we all know that this kind of stuff is just going to be inescapable and all around us. So if you're interested in voting, and if you're interested in election security and community relations, all that kind of good stuff, make sure to look on our website and sign up to join this focus group and be part of this collaborative project.
Before we go, we do have one more really exciting announcement. SFI is hiring an organizing director. The position is 100% remote, and as somebody who has been working with Sarah and Kate since the very beginning, I can honestly say it is such a rewarding place. They are kind and great people to work with, and you will, if you choose to join this team, you will just be richly rewarded. It's such a great place to be a part of. Sarah, can you share a little bit more about what we're looking for in this job?
I can. And Erin, thanks so much. I didn't tell her to say that, folks. I just appreciate that a lot. Thanks, Erin. We try. Yes, so we're looking for an organizing director. And essentially what we're looking for is someone who can help grow and engage our membership base. Kate and I are really focused these days on kind of our government relations side of the house, making sure that Congress and the White House knows what our priorities are and why they're important to take action on. And so as she and I focus a lot on kind of DC stuff, we have to make sure that we're staying connected to the community that we serve, and that folks continue to learn about us and learn about ways to join our work. So if you're interested in building relationships, especially relationships with people who may be different from you, especially relationships with members of the military family community who may be underserved by a lot of the traditional support systems that have been set up, then this is the job for you. And we're really hoping to identify someone who is passionate about this sort of thing and looking for a full-time remote gig. I know I would have loved that while in certain parts of PCSing that wasn't great. So yes, please look for the job description for more details on our website, and we continue to accept applications. On that awesome note, Erin, thank you again for helping us with our briefing, and thank you to everyone for joining us today. We look forward to being back in 2 weeks for our next biweekly briefing. Until then, be well and stay safe, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.